Thanks for having me tonight. Super excited, but also nervous because it's my first time giving a talk from home. I'm based in Berlin, and I'm giving a talk in Berlin. Stressful because if you complain, maybe tomorrow you'll see me somewhere. Not a good idea. Okay, so you already told them that I'm currently a freelancer since 2 days ago. Yeah, I've been in Berlin for about a little over a year and a half. I've met a bunch of super inspiring people, and I'm happy to meet some of you, to know you better. Right. A bit about my work. I've been working in Semplice team for over 3 years. Maybe some of you know this already. Semplice is an online portfolio building tool for any creative designers or developers or photographer, whatever, if you need a portfolio. It is based on WordPress, but we designed this whole brand new interface to make WordPress super easy and fast to use. So the idea of this tool is that we offer you a blank canvas and where you can just drag and drop components and build whatever layout you desire. And in last August, Semplice turned 4 years old, and during these 4 years, we have seen like thousands of designers build their unique portfolio, which make me really happy and proud. Another product I have been working for is called MemoMe. It is a digital mirror for high-end brands for like Chanel or Giorgio Armani, Tom Ford, as well as for retail brands like Neiman Marcus or Sephora. So within this team, we developed not only the hardware and also the software. It's been elegantly designed, and with the AR technology, this helps shopper to make decisions and discover products. So 2 days ago, I was working in MING Labs here in Berlin. I assume that probably some of you know that already as well. Super cool team. But now, since I am full-time freelancing, I'm really looking forward to the challenges. Now, back in the days when I was in Istanbul, I was also doing freelancing, and I had a lot of inquiries like this one. So this one here, this person pitched me and saying they have this groundbreaking video-on-demand platform, but UX is down, and they only need the UI and brand support. And for me, I think I'm a jack of all trades, and this is a big red flag for me because I don't believe you can just finish your UX and I would do the visual touch. But this kind of requirement make me think that what is visual design for the majority of people? Is it a skin on top of the core functionality? Is it just a surface, eye candy, or is this beauty something more? Last year, I remember I had a really tough client, and they had a tiny budget, but they want a lot of feature in their products. And at one point, they said to me, beauty is luxury for them, and function comes first. All they wanted from us was to make it fast, make it work. And I realized that this kind of mentality has become more and more popular in product building, startups, or among designers. But where does this all come from? Now, back to the 20th century, American architect Louis Sullivan brought this concept called form follows function. It means the way something looks should be determined by its purpose. And later on, Austrian and Czech architect took this step further, and he said ornamentation was a crime. We could only become civilized and modern once we were free from ornament. And at the height of modern's movement in architect, we see buildings like this one. They are blocky, chunky, but low cost. It does what it should be doing, which is protecting people from cold or rain or snow. But is it beautiful? Stefan Zeigmaster once criticized about this building. He said, it's like 1 billion people living in these shitholes that were only made to function, but did one thing, which was functioning. We were so obsessed with the idea of pure function, but we forgot one thing. Who are we designing for? Humans. And as humans, we connect with the world through emotion. But without beauty, there is no emotion. and without beauty, we fail. Think about Google Glasses. It's a cool voice control augmented reality glasses. Yeah, this is how it looks. It promised a lot of function, like for example, if I were driving to an airport, the glasses would know my geolocation and it will show me the flight information. But the product was discontinued for less than a year. So it was available in public in May 2014, but then discontinued in June 2015. What makes the glass, why is it fail? There's an interest comment from the co-founder of Awwwards, an online jewelry retailer. She said, "Is it useful? Of course it is. Do I look like a tool? Yeah. I'm not going to wear it." These glasses might be functional, but it's far from being personal or beautiful. And the lack of beauty definitely contributes to the failure of the glasses. I think the idea of beautiful things is a luxury, it's on top of the function, is stupid. And because the beautiful things actually function better. According to a study done by Stanford University, it says that the appeal of the overall visual design of a site, including layout, typography, font size, and color schemes, is the #1 factor to evaluate a website credibility. Another interesting study on aesthetic and usability effect, where a researcher presented 26 different ATM UI, and they asked the participant to rate the ease of use versus the beauty of the interface. They found out that the users are strongly influenced by the beauty of any given interface, even when they try to evaluate the underlying functionality. There is a reason for that. When we are focused and when we are relaxed, our brain tends to be more flexible and we can solve more complex problems. On the other hand, when we're stressed or frustrated, it's like putting ourselves in a tunnel vision and we can only see the problem but not the solution. Think about if you have this experience that you try the exact same solution for the exact same problem once and over again, just to expect that to work at some point. So our brain is more tolerant of problems with things that we find attractive. In another word, we want beautiful things to succeed. We simply cannot divide how we think and how we feel. Then why are we dividing UI, UX, beauty, and function? Beauty and function are inseparable because beauty communicates function. Here's an example of input field. So both of them are correct. They are both input field, but the one on the right side, is it right side? Because of this rectangular shape, subtle inner shadow, and the bevel on the button, this communicates better about this function. And our brain, when we look at some things, we make assumption of how it interacts and how it works based on how it looks. Furthermore, beauty evokes emotion. Again, this input field example, the one on this side is much more vibrant with this gradient color. That makes it look more playful, while on the other side, it looks more mature, serious, and formal. The products we're creating, they have personalities, and that personality can only be communicated through its beauty. The idea of form follows function is outdated. The fact is that if the function is the only drive for form, then why on all input field look exactly the same? Actually, I believe as product designer, every force influences the form. The force could be audience needs, client desires, etc., but also the function requirement is playing a big role in it. As a designer, it's important to take every aspect into consideration to be able to find the perfect balance between beauty and function. Although it is a big challenge to consider them all. So I would like to share some of my own experience and tips and tricks to help you find the perfect balance of beauty and function. I think, first of all, in the beginning of a project, it is very critical to define a success criteria. Why are we doing what we do? What are we trying to achieve? For example, if we were to design a product, a music streaming product on your iPhone, then we should ask ourselves, is it to have the best sound quality, or is it to have the fastest streaming speed? Is it to reach as many audiences as possible, or we want it to be more premium, maybe less reach, but a higher profit margin? Who is the target audiences of this app, and how much are they willing to pay for it? Having a clear success criteria will definitely drive all the decision making during the process. Example would be if I were to design a landing page of a sexy product, I might want to play the visual side a bit more. I could use animations or cutting edge technologies. That might be a result that we will sacrifice the functionality or accessibility. But on the other hand, if we were to design a utility tool for your daily expenses, maybe we want to focus on the features, accessibility, and stability. Right. Another key point is that to make good experience better. This was a lesson I learned from Walt Disney when he was building the Disneyland. His philosophy was not to add more stuff, but rather to make a good experience better. I think when it comes to product design, it is good if we can ship new features regularly, but on the other hand, it's also very important to focus on the main feature, the core functionality, and to make an existing feature good, to make a good feature even better. And when it comes to team building, I believe that it's very critical to bring the team from all aspects early on, ideally in the beginning of the project, because the design process requires a collective working. Having the opinion from people with different skill set would definitely make the process more efficient. And as designers, it's very important for us to have the ability to be open to hear people's opinion and take that and create the product. Having said that, although I believe that for designers, it's important for us to follow the best practice, to follow the data coming from the user research, I also believe a good designer needs to be an artist in their heart. That means that because the product we are creating is a summary of our past experience, our imagination, our vision, I think to push this product further, you should be able to break the rule, know when to break the rule, and to have your own voice. That would be the key to push the product further and make ourselves stand out. Now, coming from a Chinese background, I was born and raised in China, and then I traveled to Australia and Turkey, now in Berlin. I realized that in different culture, there's a different taste on beauty. And I think it's important to respect the different taste. Here is an example of the most popular e-commerce website in China, Taobao Wang. And as you can probably see, there is a lot of content going on here, a lot of links, and imagery as well. The layout seems quite cluttered. And this one is one of the most visited websites in China called Tengxun Wang. Again, lots of text links and not too many imagery except for some banner ads. And this one, Youku, used to be more or less the Chinese version of YouTube, a video streaming platform. Once again, a lot of content going on with cluttered and floating elements. I think this would be an interesting example. This is the official KFC website in China, where as you can see, this is a sticky footer. The same thing, flying again, lots of design elements, and then this navigation is super colorful. I can't really tell what their branding is. While at the same time, this one is the German version of KFC, much bolder imagery and cleaner layout and typography. And it seems like most of the Chinese website looks very busy, cluttered, colorful. There's a lot of banners and lots of links. But one of the reasons for that is the majority of Chinese audiences right now, they want to see the busy layout, so they feel there's a lot of entertainment value to be discovered. It seems like there's so many things to explore. Of course, there are many other reasons, like the topography, etc. And if you're interested, check out my other talk on Chinese design for Westerners. Oh, wow, I think okay, last point, and I think this is the most important. As designers, love your craft and be passionate about it, because in the end, it's not about choosing beauty or functionality and sacrificing the other. It's not about creating something simple instead of something complicated. It's about choosing to be thoughtful about your design. And I think once you have that mindset to craft your product with love, then automatically you will make the best decision. You will try to find the best way for users, the most delightful product you can create. Because as designers, that is our job. And that is who we are. And lastly, I hope all of you in the future, you can create your product not only to make it fast, make it work, and make it beautiful. That was fairly fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't.
But that's good, so we have more time for questions, and I think there are a couple of them.
Sure.
I think.
Shoot.
Are there any questions? Oh yeah, now they're coming. But
hi, thanks for your talk. Do you have any reasons why Chinese people like cluttered websites, or why they prefer them over reduced designs?
Right. One reason being that the typography itself, or one Chinese character, is more condensed versus English alphabet. So although you see one line of sentence, it might look more busy on itself. And another being, we had to use a lot of imagery instead of the font itself, because one Chinese character set might be like over 10,000 characters. You cannot really use that or embed that on the web, because that would take ages to load. One font file might be like 3 to even 10 megabyte. So it's super huge. There is a way to solve this, which is called dynamic subsetting, where you basically just take the specific character you use on the page and only load those ones. But the thing is, still, you don't really have too much freedom on the typography, and end up we use the web-safe fonts. So there is only a couple choices. And there is not too much hierarchy you can create with this font. But as designers, we want to have the freedom to be more creative on the visual design, so we use a lot of images. That is why a lot of times you see this busy and stuff are flying. Yeah, and I think the other big reason was the internet connection was not that good. So that's why text links are, you tend to see more content on one page instead of big imagery or typography. And also, I think the development of the web design, especially in China, was not as well developed as Europe. So, I mean, if you look back what you had before, it's pretty much the same. The crazy layout is not only for Asia. Yeah, hope that answers your question.
yeah, I also found it interesting to see it, because we're a Japanese-German company,
Right.
and we're very proud that we have the same website here in Europe and in Japan.
Well done, good job.
So, you had a question?
Answer this question?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'd like to answer this question as well. I think you are actually saying pretty well, but since like most time I will be asked this question during my design interview, so I think one of the reasons is because it's culture stuff, since we are a developing country and we're living in the really fast-paced life. So at the same time, every Chinese, they want to get as much information as like during the exploring the website, or they check some platform, and they want to like get as much as possible at the same time. And because we all work so fast, I think that's also the reason why the Chinese designer and developer, they put all the thing in one page, and which can help you to find it as fast as possible. Yeah.
Yeah, true.
Thank you.
Which actually remind me that there's another reason for many text links, because it's a big effort to type in Chinese. Every character you have to type in a couple alphabet to be able to find the character set, where you have to pick one of the character from, I don't know, like 20 or even 50 characters. So for us, typing one sentence is more effort versus if you type in English. So people tend to click rather than type everything.
At one of your slides, it says design like an artist. So
Yeah.
yeah. So do you have to be an artist to be a designer? Like, do you have to have the talent, or you can study that?
I think that definitely helps when you have more experiences. You don't have to be an artist to be a designer. But on the other hand, like I said, although we are designing a product, this product is what we are trying to express ourselves as well. So my personal belief that it's okay to sometimes dictate and trust your gut and not listen to what other people said, which I believe is the artist's heart. Yeah, instead of, because I've seen a lot of UX designer, especially the young ones, they don't really trust what they do, and they will say, oh, what if we do interviews with 20 other people? Sure, that works sometimes, most of the time, but at some point, when you really believe in something, or you think that this should be beautiful rather than a shitty wireframe-looking product, then fight against your product manager client.
I find it super refreshing to hear you talk. You say things like it should be beautiful, and you cross through mantras in our industry like form follows function, and the designer should be an artist. Things that we are not allowed to kind of think these days. But I like, is that recent realization that you are coming back to this, or did you look at this differently? Like, is this the latest realization of yours?
It's not. Or just a bit more about myself. I come from a print background. I used to do branding, editorial, stuff like that. So I sometimes feel that the young designers don't really have enough knowledge on typography or the color choices. That is, I always, as an old school, if you may, that I fight against the idea of it's purely to serve the function or to serve the client needs or user need.
Thank you.
So yeah, always.
I really liked your talk. I do have
you.
a question about the situation that you also described, where you say there are teams that are trying to deliver fast and sacrifice beauty or UX or UI for just getting the feature done. So in those situations where you feel, if you've been in those situations where you feel maybe not listened to, not valued, that design is really seen as a luxury, and maybe that being a culture of a company, how do you deal with that, and how do you make yourself valued, your work valued, not as a person but your work, or both, whatever works?
Yeah, it does. It's fairly a challenge. So the project I mentioned with the client says it's a luxury, etc. I've been working extra hours, 4 days a week, just to make sure that at least I'll be not ashamed on delivering this product. At the same time, satisfy their function needs. Not saying that we should do that, but I think in the beginning, when you talk to the client, you should kind of already know which client to choose from. And of course, if you work in an agency, it's difficult. But at least internally align with your team that you have the same belief to deliver a good enough product. And it's really difficult because you can't really fight against everybody. You have to have at least a team to support you. So I don't really have a shortcut for that.
Just want to give you a compliment for this extremely wonderful slide and presentation, which actually proves that you are a good designer, and I didn't fall asleep.
Thank you.
And because I've seen a lot of like presentations, and this proves. So, what's the font?
Fright. You can get them from Typekit if you have Adobe. And I hope you still use Adobe from time to time and not only designing in Sketch or...
That's the only product I use now from Adobe, actually. Yeah.
What do you do?
Sketch, then, yeah.
Oh, right, yeah. I mean, it's fairly common now, but never give up on Adobe.
So what is the font?
Fright. Okay. This is Fright Display or Fright Big. I think Fright Big that you can get from Typekit.
So first of all, thank you. It was refreshing, and I really like the fact that you focused on the positive aspect of it, and you found a solution with that, and you gave us a good vibe. I want to ask you, because it's very interesting, your multicultural experience in design, about Istanbul. How is it? And what did you find out there as an interesting piece of this puzzle that we are trying to solve here? Design in general, for designing for cultures and comparing design for cultures, and what do they have special? What did you notice there? In Asia, we have these small characters that can talk a lot, right? In a short space. In Germany, we have these long phrases. We need to have 100 words. What is different in Istanbul? In Turkey, it's a rich culture. It's very different. Probably they have different taste in something.
Yeah, for sure it was very different because of a culture. It's kind of in between Europe and Asia. I think it's when it comes to the taste of beauty, it's also kind of in between. They are looking up to a lot of European agencies or like good design. On the other hand, they are also struggling with the not so educated clients. So, if you don't mind to explain a bit further about your question.
I was just curious about one element or something that you notice, like a color that they actually prefer. For example, I know that Turkey, they really like the color turquoise.
Yeah.
And actually it's their national brand. Probably the name of Turkey comes from that.
Yeah.
So do they use that a lot, for example? I don't know.
Not in my design. Actually, when I was working in Turkey, somehow I tend to use the combination of yellow and red a lot, but everyone says no because it's like, I don't know, what's that? Pasha, but there's this football team. You tell me, what's that? Galatasaray, yeah. Somehow, I love that combination, but it's always rejected. But yeah, I agree with you that the color choice can be fairly different through cultures. So for example, in China, red means positive, means fortune and luck. Well, that's why you see in the stock market, it's actually the opposite than in Europe, where the red actually means the rising of the price, and green means it's dropping. So it can be fairly confusing.
Let's get to the last questions. Any questions left? Okay.
Hello. Thank you for your presentation. It was very interesting, and
Thank you.
I've seen a lot of cultural fails of companies trying to internationalize and completely forget about the culture they're going to interact with. So that was a very good point, I think. I have a question because I do a lot of trends research, and I'm noticing more and more interaction that goes through materials. So materials that are becoming smart and they can, they have buttons already, but you don't see them. They are in the surface. And I was kind of going fast forward in like maybe in 10 years or in 15 years. And I wanted to ask you what you think about the role of, visual design in there, because maybe there are not going to be screens. And I was quickly think about that, and I think then it would maybe turn into make it humane, the last part of your sentence.
Sure. As some people said, in the end, the interface is human ourselves. But I think when it comes to visual design, or this is more in general the beauty. It's not only what you look at; it's also the sound, the senses, how you touch something. So it's. I think, in the future, definitely it would be more engaging. And as a designer, we have to be able to handle all the different aspects.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.